Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast. And today, I'm going to go my review of Friday Night Smackdown. Starting off the night, we got John Cena making an appearance. He comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone, he greets the fans. John talks about his farewell tour. He also talks about his challenges with the farewell tour and what it's come with. John also talks about his history that he's had in Chicago. John says that this will be the last time that he will be on SmackDown forever. This is it. John then talks about his history on SmackDown and what he's done on SmackDown, debuting on SmackDown against Kurt Angle. We all remember that moment, and how every wrestler in the back pretty much praised John Cena, and then eventually we get the Ruthless Aggression era in WWE. After this, Sami Zayn interrupts John Cena. Zayn comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone. He thanks Cena. Zayn thanks John for what he's done for him in his career. Zayn says that he wants to continue the U.S. Open title challenge, and Zayn said he wants to give Cena a shot at the U.S. title for one last time. And John accepts the challenge, which gets us right into our first official match of the night. It is Sami Zayn defending the U.S. Championship against John Cena. I thought it was a great match, man. Back and forth matchup between Zayn and Cena, with Zayn keeping the pace of the match. John quickly hits an AA on Zayn in the middle of the ring for a near fall, followed by John hitting a pump-up powerbomb on Zayn for a near fall. John then goes and hits an angle slam on Zayn for a near fall in the middle of the ring. Zayn and both Cena exchange in the middle of the ring. Cena then applies an ankle lock, then turns it into an STF on Zayn, but the hold is broken. Zayn then goes for a haluva kick on Cena, but Cena counters it with an AA in the middle of the ring for a near fall. Zayn then hits an exploder suplex on John into the turnbuckle, followed by Zayn hitting a haluva kick on John for a near fall. Crowd goes crazy. John somehow gets up, hits a GTS on Zayn, straight out of CM Punk's book for a near fall. Cena then hits a spear on Zayn for a near fall as well. John then goes to the top rope, hits an avalanche AA on Zayn. Both guys are laid out in the middle of the ring. All of a sudden, Lesnar's music hits. Lesnar comes out to the ring. He attacks the referee by pulling the referee out of the ring. Lesnar then hits an F5 on Zayn as well as an F5 on John Cena. Lesnar then picks up Cena, hits another F5 on Cena in the middle of the ring, pretty much sending a message to Cena. Match ends in a disqualification. Then we see Brock Lesnar walk to the back through Gorilla, and ends up saying that he will see John Cena at WrestlePalooza, which takes place September 20th. Some interesting stuff there between Brock Lesnar and John Cena. Moving on from that, we got Damian Priest taking on Aleister Black. Aleister quickly attacks Priest before Priest gets in the ring. The match itself was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between Priest and Aleister Black, with Aleister Black keeping the pace of the match. Aleister then hits a Meteora off the top rope on Priest for a near fall. Priest then gets up, hits a Razor's Edge, sending Aleister Black over the announce table on the outside. But somehow Aleister hits a Black Mass on Damian Priest, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match is Aleister Black. Hats off to Aleister Black for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have a women's U.S. title matchup. It is Julia defending the women's U.S. title against Michin. The match itself, it was an okay match. Back and forth matchup between Julia and Michin, with Julia keeping the pace of the match. And Julia ultimately hits the finish on Michin, pins for the 3. And your winner of the match, and still the women's U.S. champion, is Julia. Hats off to Julia for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have Becky Lynch closing out the night. Becky comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone, says that she is the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Becky then mocks the fans. She also says that CM Punk sucks. After this, CM Punk comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone. Punk says that this is not about Becky. Instead, this is about her coward husband, Rollins, who was standing in the crowd mocking CM Punk. Punk says that he let the fans chant AJ Lee. Punk says that he can call Bayley to beat Becky's ass. After that, Becky then slaps CM Punk. Becky then says Punk is an embarrassment. After that, all of a sudden, we hear music on the PA system, and it's none other than the return of AJ Lee. AJ Lee comes out to the ring. She ends up attacking Becky Lynch, pretty much sending a message to Becky that, obviously she has her sights set on Becky Lynch, especially after what Becky's been doing to CM Punk. couple things I want to talk about, man, when it pertains to Friday Night SmackDown before I get the hell up out of here. Number one, this by far was probably the best SmackDown we've gotten in all of 2025, to be honest with you guys, man. I think for what we've seen as of late, and I've also been crucial for Dynamite as well as Collision and Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, from a WWE standpoint, obviously they're more fixated on the business aspect of professional wrestling. I mean, that's been prevalent from their, ESPN deal and having their first PLE with WrestlePalooza taking place on ESPN September 20th. I mean, obviously they've been making a lot of business moves for the foreseeable future for WWE. I mean, they practically have a residency for WrestleMania in Las Vegas. And, they've been making significant moves as far as the business aspect of WWE. So a lot of people, and myself included, have been, stating the fact that I feel like WWE is kind of taken away a little bit from the wrestling. The storylines haven't been as strong, and it's kind of been lackadaisical for the past few weeks, or I would say for the past few months, honestly, for WWE. As far as storylines. But this is one of those storylines here between Punk and Rollins that has just been, I hate to bring up what I brought up before about the bloodline, but it's like a fine wine, man. It's getting better and better over time. And, I remember when I told you guys, man, when CM Punk made his return to WWE at Survivor Series a few years back, obviously Seth Rollins, you can tell Rollins was immensely pissed off that CM Punk walked back through the doors of WWE and graced us with his presence back on WWE television. You could tell that Rollins was pissed. This was a legit heat between Rollins and Punk, and this was something that Rollins really wasn't too keen on, of having CM Punk back in the realm of WWE. But here we are. And since then, it's been, a hell of a ride here between Rollins and Punk. And at the same time, Rollins is doing everything he can to make CM Punk's life in WWE a absolute living hell. From him winning, the world title, to him losing it, to, so many incidents that have happened since he's been in WWE. Rollins has been at the forefront of trying to take everything and anything away from CM Punk. When, CM Punk is at the highest of the highs, Seth Rollins there is to literally tear it all down. So my question was beforehand, before this had happened, is where are we taking this CM Punk-Seth Rollins feud? What's next? These guys, I believe they had a match on the debut episode of Raw on Netflix. A lot of people were happy about that, excited about that, myself included. But, this storyline here between Rollins and Punk has intensified tenfold. So my thing is where are we going next from here? What's going to be the next situation here between Punk and Rollins that is going to intensify the story even more and get a lot more people intrigued? And we finally got it with the return of AJ Lee, which honestly, man, this was probably one of the biggest returns in WWE in quite some time, to be honest with you. This was a huge, monumental return. This was something that, like I said before, man, I think everybody wanted this return to happen, but nobody ever thought it was going to happen. This is AJ Lee returning to WWE after, I think it's been about, 10 years since she's been back in WWE, and a lot of people, even since CM Punk has literally been back in WWE, have been speculating, now that we see CM Punk, are we going to see the likes of AJ Lee? And it's always been something that has been speculated and rumored for so many years now with CM Punk. And now that we finally got a return of AJ Lee, I mean, she looks happy. She looks like she's in shape. She looks like she's ready to go. And we finally get the return of AJ Lee, and she comes out and beats the hell out of Becky Lynch. So this is awesome. I think this is something, and I will be at the forefront and tell you guys that I thought when she came into WWE, it was going to be a one-off. I'll be the first one to tell you guys that. I even told you that, when she comes in, I think it's going to be a one-off. It's obviously not going to be that. From what I understand, that AJ Lee has signed a multi-year contract with the WWE, so she's going to be around for quite some time. And I think it's great. And obviously, it's a huge addition to the women's roster on WWE. She's going to make a humongous impact on the female roster, just not even just the female roster, just WWE in general. I mean, a lot of people want to hear what she has to say. They want to see her in the square circle again, wrestling in a match. And I think that's probably what we're going to get, at WrestlePalooza. I think if I had to predict that it's going to be a mixed tag match with CM Punk teaming up with AJ Lee to take on Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch at this year's WrestlePalooza. And for what it's worth, man, I think WrestlePalooza this year is going to be 10 times better than what we got at this year's past WrestleMania. The way this card is shaping up to be, man, and They're technically going head-to-head on the same day with AEW, and I'm telling you guys right now that I think WrestlePalooza is going to blow AEW's All out of the water, to be honest with you. I don't think All Out has a fucking chance in hell to stand up against what WWE is producing with WrestlePalooza. Not a fucking chance. And you know what? Kudos to Tony Khan for actually moving the time slot up from 8 p.m. Eastern all the way up to 3 p.m. Eastern, because I'm telling you right now, man, there's not a chance in hell they're competing with WWE on this WrestlePalooza card, man. This card is absolutely stacked. With the rumored card that they're having right now, it's stacked. You got the possibility of CM Punk and AJ Lee teaming up to take on Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. We have Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer for the vacant Women's World Heavyweight Championship. There's also rumors and rumblings that might take place as far as a matchup between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton, or McIntyre and Cody Rhodes for the Universal Championship. There's also, now that it's already been reported and scheduled, it will be, in fact, Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, which is going to be a huge match. This is Brock Lesnar's first match back in the WWE, and it's going to be against John Cena on Cena's farewell tour. So a lot of people are anticipating WrestlePalooza, myself included. I think the card is going to be absolutely incredible, and I think it's just going to torch whatever the hell AEW is doing that weekend, to be honest with you. I don't think, with all due respect to Tony Khan and AEW, man, I don't think All Out has any sliver of a chance to be the talk of the town that weekend when it pertains to both PLEs, or pay-per-views, if you want to call it that, between WWE and AEW. I think WWE's WrestlePalooza is going to be absolutely insane. And the production behind it, the fact that this is the first PLE on ESPN, it's going to be huge, man. They're going all out. They're going to make a humongous impact, especially WWE having their first PLE on ESPN. It's going to be absolutely insane. So, but like I said, man, this was something that, and I might be the only person saying this, but like I said earlier, a few minutes ago, that this probably was the best SmackDown that we've gotten in quite some time. Absolutely. Probably one of the best returns that we got in WWE in quite some time. I mean, like I said, man, this was something that everybody wanted, just never thought it was going to happen. And it finally happened. AJ Lee is back in WWE. She signed a multi-year contract with the company, and she's going to be around for quite some time. And I'm all for it, man. I think this is going to make this storyline here between Punk and Rollins even better. Now that we're incorporating, obviously, Becky Lynch and the return of AJ Lee, it just makes it 10 times better, man. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome, and it's something that, you never say never. Yeah, and that's all. And I hate to be cliche, but it's true, bro. Because nobody ever thought that we would see AJ Lee back in a WWE ring. I mean, Christ, man, no one even thought we would see CM Punk back in a WWE ring, and we did. And he's been on one hell of a tailspin since he's been back with WWE, since he left AEW. He's done a hell of a job, and he's got people talking. And now that AJ Lee's back and she's at the forefront of things, man, it's only intensifying this storyline here between Punk and Rollins. And now it's Monday Night Raw and SmackDown is must-see TV for right now, and leading up to WrestlePalooza, absolutely. Because people want to hear what AJ Lee has to say, but people want to see AJ Lee's first match. People want to see this back and forth, banter between Seth Rollins and CM Punk now that we got the return of AJ Lee. So, yeah. I'm definitely excited to see this matchup possibly between Punk and AJ Lee taking on Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. Besides that, though, the other things about SmackDown that, I would say that I didn't like, I'm going to be honest, man, and this has nothing to do with how I feel about Selena Vega. My standpoint on Vega is the same. I'm surprised that she is still employed with the company, to be honest with you. And it might be a hot take for a lot of people, but the production value from Vega just hasn't been there. But I'm also not going to blame Vega entirely, because if you're looking at both women's titles, comparing the Women's Intercontinental Championship to the Women's U.S. title, there's obviously a lot more push here with the Women's Intercontinental Championship than there is the Women's U.S. title. I'm not taking anything away from Julia. I think Julia is great. I think she's severely underrated as a performer and a superstar in WWE, but there's no motivation whatsoever. There's no story around the Women's U.S. title. It's just, to me, it's a title that's taking up space. I don't think WWE truly has any kind of plans with this title. that's meaningful. I think it's just one of those things that, gives, a woman a chance on the main roster to be on TV and defend a singles championship, but a championship that absolutely means nothing. They're not doing anything at all with the U.S. title. There's nothing there. I mean, Christ, man, the women's U.S. title is hardly even defended on PLEs compared to the women's Intercontinental Championship, which seemingly has been defended quite a bit of times here as of late since Becky has had it. And if you're looking at both titles, man, it's night and day. The U.S. Championship for the women, it means jack shit. And it's not taking anything away from Julia. It's not. I think Julia is great. And I'm not sitting here saying that Selena Vega's title run was great either. It was awful. But there's no vision and no, anything that's meaningful with the women's U.S. title. It absolutely means nothing. It really doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. And the other thing, too, that I wanted to talk about with you guys is this Damian Priest and Aleister Black match. I've been crucial on some of these former WWE talents and whatever AEW that went back over to WWE. It's going to continue to keep happening. It's going to happen regardless. But if you look at some of the superstars that went from WWE over to AEW back to WWE, some of them I feel like it's not panning out the way that people thought it was going to pan out. And I'm a big fan of Aleister Black. I might not be a fan of Zelina Vega, but I am a fan of Aleister Black. And, my thing is, Tony Khan and AEW really had no idea or plans what to do with Aleister Black. They just didn't. The House of Black was a great stable that should have been multi-time tag team champions, multi-time trios champions, and Aleister Black should have had a singles run, to be honest. And I think everybody here can agree with me on that. There was no vision for the House of Black, and there damn sure was no vision for Aleister Black over in AEW. Aleister Black coming over to WWE, or coming back over, and trying to have a career back in WWE, I just feel like it's not there, to be honest with you. And it's not just Aleister Black, man. Rusev just had a good match with Sheamus in Clash in Paris. It was a Donnybrook match, and it was a good match. I'm not taking anything away from the match. I thought the match was good. But some of these superstars that went to AEW and returned back to WWE, I feel like it's not panning out the way they thought it was going to pan out. That they thought they were going to get the Cody Rhodes, Jade Cargill treatment, and it's just not there. You look at someone, for example, like Andrade. I'm going to be honest, man. I think if Andrade was on his own and he wasn't teaming up with Rey Fenix, who, by the way, we have not seen on television in quite some time, I think Andrade would be sitting in catering. I don't think he would be doing anything. And to be honest with you, Rey Fenix might be on the same boat. I don't think WWE really has a vision for those two guys at all. And I think Aleister Black, yes, he's in a storyline, if you want to call it that, with Damian Priest. He was in a storyline with R-Truth as well. Obviously, they're not doing anything with R-Truth. I just feel like it's kind of stagnant right now for Aleister Black and some of the superstars that return back over to WWE. My thing is with Rusev, what do you do with Rusev after Sheamus? There was even a rumor that Rusev showed up at NXT. Great. And to be honest with you, with all due respect to Rusev, he might benefit going to NXT at this point. There's not a lot of, the thing of it is there's not that much TV time, number one. And number two, I just feel like they don't have a vision for some of these superstars. A lot of these people think they're going to get the Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill treatment, and it's just not that. It's just not. And I think, unfortunately, names like Andrade and Phoenix and Aleister Black, I would even put Rusev possibly on the list. It's just, you're not in the main event spotlight. You're just not. I mean, Aleister Black and Damian Priest was the mid-card match for Smackdown. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like these guys are main eventing right now. It's just not. So, to me, it's like, man, you look back on it, like, would they have benefited more staying with AEW, or does it benefit them more staying or going back over to WWE? It's night and day, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, man, like I said, this was probably one of the best SmackDowns we've seen in quite some time. One of the biggest returns that we have seen of all time with AJ Lee. This is something that, like I said, we all wanted, just never thought it was going to happen, but here we are, and AJ Lee has returned to WWE and has signed a multi-year contract with the company, so she ain't going anywhere anytime soon. So it's great. I think this is going to be great for the women's roster on WWE, as well as intensifying the storyline here between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And for what it's worth, It's not announced yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to WrestlePalooza on September 20th. I think it's going to be an incredible event. I think it's going to be a stacked card from top to bottom. It might surpass what we got at past year's WrestleMania, and I definitely think it's going to steal the show for the weekend of September 20th. I definitely think that card is going to be a hell of a lot better than what we're getting from AEW's All Out that same day. So, with that being said, though, that this is my review of Friday Night SmackDown. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.